Thank you. Very interesting question or comments there. Um, so I have a question for both Margaret and Teolinda. When Gabriella and I were thinking about questions to ask, we were like, oh, should we go in for some hard, more deep political ones? And we decided that we should because I think this is a book that tackles some really big issues. And I think equally some people could turn around and say, oh, Mozambique's independent now. Salazar hasn't been in power for almost 50 years. But I also think it's very evident that a lot of these issues are still relevant today. So I was wondering if Teolinda, you wanted to talk about why you think this book is still pertinent in Portugal, perhaps in relation to recent political events. I don't know. And Margaret, do you think that this book could play a role in challenging the British colonial past, and the way in which people still miss the British Empire? So yeah, it's open to both. Quite big questions.
Bom, eu acho que aprendemos muito pouco.
Well, I think we didn't learn a lot. We believe that Salazar, Hitler, Stalin, all these dictators were gone. Terrible massacres, and the last one would have been Hitler. But now we have Russia invading the Ukraine, we have wars, we have a war between Israel and Palestine, and just recently, you know, to think about different things, I watched Gandhi, the movie, which is a magnificent film. It's an admirable character who achieved so much. And, you know, between India and Pakistan, we still have huge misunderstanding. Europe needs migrants. We really need migrants. But they feel discriminated. And there is still racism. Of course, yes, there is. Humankind has not moved forward a lot. Of course, with technology, scientifically, we've given huge steps. But from a moral standpoint, we didn't learn a lot. I don't know if Margaret agrees with me.
No, that's what I feel as well. I think we learn so little. It's tragic, really. And I think for me, the book, it's about acceptance, people accepting each other just as human beings. And that's what we have to learn every single day, I think. And it's what we seem incapable of learning sometimes.
Diálogo de culturas, são culturas diferentes, mas que devem...
Yes, a dialogue between different cultures, you know, but cultures should be in dialogue. Laureano, he can do that. He's integrated, and he feels as if he's an African, but Amelia, no, Amelia is different. She was a seamstress. She would go to the homes of her wealthy clients that lived in a separate world. They wanted to have nothing to do with the Africans. They were exploiting the Africans, and they didn't want to live with the Africans. And this is still around, you know, around the world. We still see this, unfortunately, this type of behavior.
No, I agree. I think this colonization continues in various forms.
Continua. Assim como continua a haver...
Yes, it does. And we still have gender inequality. Of course, we have moved forward, but there's still a lot to be done. We don't have equal pay for men and women, for instance. So, you know, we didn't move forward in that sense. We still have a lot to learn. And these problems, unfortunately, they are still current. 50 years later, after the April Revolution, we are not happy with the country we have. Different administrations, and we've had administrations from the left, from the right, more to the left. or more to the right, we've had many different administrations, and they just cannot fulfill their objectives. And we still don't have a minimally fair society. It's not an egalitarian society, not at all. So we didn't move forward in that sense. 50 years after April 25th, we can say, okay, there's no dictatorship, we have freedom of speech. At least we can discuss these problems. And there's no fear of discussing. Okay, that is fine. However, the deeper problems are not solved, such as justice or social justice. The very rich never go to jail in Portugal. Nothing happens to them. And they have millions. If a poor person is robs a supermarket and buys a very small item because, this person could be arrested. There is one justice for the rich and one justice system for the poor. And we cannot go on like that. There is a lot of corruption, which is also terrible. We want school for everyone. We want health services for everyone, and we don't have that. So we have failed in many of these objectives. We've lost many opportunities. And this is a pity. Africa is independent, but kleptocracy, the greed of the powerful, they've gotten rich. Many people have collected fortunes, and the people are still in poverty. So independence didn't bring happiness to the countries that were under this dictatorship or colonialism. They are not pleased yet with the situation. They are migrating into Europe, which of course is richer, or going to the US, and they are not welcome, and they don't have the same situation as everyone else. They don't have the same rights as everyone else. So the world is not a good place right now.
Because of this, that books like these are important, isn't it? Books that
que a literatura
depict.
tenha alguma
I
influência.
hope so. I hope that literature can change something in people's minds. I do hope so. Or at least make people think, invite people to think. If we can achieve that, it has been worth it. Writing has been worth it. And the difficulties involved in writing and reaching readers and having a book published and being translated, it is all worth it if we contribute, even if it's at a very small scale, to make some difference in the world.